Hello and well met. Pilgrim here with a recap of the original episode 52, which, due to magical difficulties, has been lost to time. This recap will bridge the gap between your previous episode, episode 51, and what you are about to hear. After we defeated the assassins and the final assassin fled through the water bucket, Lilith suspects the Southcoves. Tuli sees some papers on her desk with a note that says eternity that she can't make out the rest of. The other assassins that were captured in previous rooms have killed themselves using cyanide-type capsules, so we're unable to learn more about who hired these assassins. Lilith suspects Garmina Southcove, the head of the Southcove family, and requests that we repay blood for blood by murdering Garmina's daughter. We also learn more about the powers that rule over Dustforge. The East Coves run by Zangan, Durgirth, who heads the Temple of the Change, Levret, who is the High Priest of the Cloth, and Jacques, a magician and stonemason who runs the Emerald Hood, where Pilgrim, myself, was previously interested in learning more about Dustglass. Loraleth and Thelon go to investigate the dark tree growing under Dustforge, and the rest of the half-dozen prepare to meet Jacques at the Emerald Hood, while still wondering if they can follow through on Lilith's request to kill Garmina Southcove's daughter.
Hey! 99!
53!
53! Boing, boing, boing.
Wiggy is still here.
Wiggy is still here. We are still here. Episode 53 is still here. Everything is fine. Welcome. Thank you for spending your time and your drive and your ears on King Leo D&D. And we're thankful for you. So, thanks for sticking around all this time.
Your time when you're supposed to be working.
Yes.
Get back to work.
No, wait, my Tom.
No, don't listen.
Wiggy, please don't break everything.
Oh,
she's going
Wiggy.
to. She wants to.
Wiggy.
Listen, she's always coming from that side over here.
Yeah, come on,
I
Julie.
keep
Let's
her
play
away
some
from
defense.
this side.
This came out.
That's fine. No, I pulled that out earlier.
Okay. This
Is this
is
important?
unattached.
This
now.
working wire.
You can just let it go, yeah. Welcome to episode 53 where
Wiggy is
chaotic.
here!
Announcement is still we have this puppy. She's doing great. And if you haven't checked out our merch in a while, you should check it out. There's some really cool stuff in there, including, I didn't mention this last episode and I should have, Pigeon Pie is the artist who created our Stefano artwork. And I was just really thankful for what they did. It turned out phenomenal. I'm really excited for it. So if nothing else, go check out our merch page just to see their work. But then while you're looking at it, if you like how it looks, buy a sticker or a shirt or a sweatshirt or a puzzle or any of those fun things that we have. I think Steven is repping our Hip Hip Okay. I've got our party name shirt. We've got our church's family. And we've got a cat on a rooster.
Yeah, that's
We're doing
a
great.
new thing.
Mad Cat.
Mad cat.
Wow.
we
We're repping a lot of things.
are repping a lot of things. We're also repping Sycamore, who makes phenomenal beer. And also, we did not use Norse Foundry's dice last episode for Joffrey, but maybe we will now.
Oh, shoot.
The boulder. The boulder.
I
So
didn't roll
Norse
any
Foundry.
dice
First
last
one.
episode.
One thing that is really cool as a thing to announce, I shared this with you all, but like the Joffrey army is growing and some people are using things similar to Joffrey in their games and it's really cool. It's neat that this little house rule has gotten to be kind of
The
popular.
Jarmy.
What was the monkey's name?
The Greg me.
I think. Was it Joffrey?
Joffrey's our
Oh,
fox.
yeah. Jeffrey.
It was
Joffrey.
Darwin.
Darwin.
So,
He's Jeffrey's
anywho,
cousin.
to recap episode 52, in the room where it happened, Lilith was attacked. And the kind of downfall from that was the party making sure everyone was okay. They checked in on Treya. Treya was great, sleeping soundly, doing wonderful things, listening to harp music in her own little private room. And everything was going swimmingly for her. Well, just about everyone else in the house almost died. Beyond that, the party was able to continue their sleep as Loraleth and Thelon went off to go head back into some of the caves, try to figure out more about that interesting tree that Loraleth had found. And the party reconvened for breakfast, where Treya was trying to make all the sales pitches for this trade agreement for Populous to ship out some Western Violet seeds and some Beto, and some monies, all in an attempt to try to get a shipment of dust glass into Populous for them to use. That was seemingly hard to secure until Treya learned from Lilith, being kind of stern, that she actually needs help from the party. And so Treya agreed to that and said fine. And then said the last thing she said before she left the room was half dozen, do whatever she says as to secure this. And then she left. And then the party kind of heard some of the details of what that would entail, including meeting up with Zangan of the East Cove family and letting him know that the South Cove family attempted an attack on the West Cove family, and seeing how he responds to that. And also, she asked for some vengeance, and she asked the party to take care of... Oh gosh, I'm trying to not look at the names. I can't do it. Oh, Farlane, right. I was trying to remember Garmina's name. That's right. I take care of Garmina's daughter, Farlane, who is an acolyte at the Temple of the Chain. And so that is the lead that they have. So with that, also the kind of future promise of if they could complete the job that the Odd Company could not and help her get down to her family's mausoleum, that there would also be some forms of payment and plundering there too. So party did not like all of those details and kind of stood on the line of agreeing and not agreeing and tried to buy some time. Lilith saw through that and kind of didn't care for it too much and asked some further questions. Then, once an agreement seemed to be made, that meeting was adjourned. So now, Lilith is getting up and leaving the room on those terms being said. And the meal is still out and about for y'all to enjoy and take care, but feel free, follow-up conversation and every time at the party. There are a couple members of the family servitude here still hanging out in the space, making sure that they can take care of you. Go.
What?
I understand that we have killed plenty of people. We have left a long trail of death in our wake. But for better or for worse, we were killing folks that we truly believed deserved at least dire consequences.
Yeah, like those people that were being taken over by the Aboleth. Yeah, they definitely deserved it real bad.
I was a part of that. We'd have to go back there. But do we truly believe that the daughter of a woman who may be behind an attack deserves to die?
We could check her Twitter history and see if she said anything.
What do you say?
Sounds bad.
I understand the idea that there must be blood for blood, but the reality of the situation is we simply do not know who owes blood to who at this point. So
I agree with Pilgrim, in the sense that where I come from, we also have a very strict blood for blood. Family is everything. The Badh family, the Jigyasu family. And I've seen it go so wrong so many times. And the cycle never stops. And I feel very strongly that Genasi is responsible for his or her own actions. And so, however, Farlane is an acolyte of Brenton, and he is an evil dude. Similarly, I have seen horrible things done in his name in my hometown. Can I ad-lib?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen children sacrificed to him. I've seen parades.
Parade! They're so loud!
The traffic was blocked for hours.
Oh my god! The New Orleans?
The noise and the confetti, who needs it?
Oh my god.
The day the circus came to town.
Marching bands through the forest.
That's way worse than children sacrifice. I hope that's
Sacrifice
the end of the list.
clowns, balloons.
We had a really good laugh just now. What I was gonna say is parades celebrating all manner of evil things.
Oh.
And it blocked the traffic. So the worst of both worlds. So anyway, if she is a servant of Drenton, then I feel like she probably does deserve to die. But I want to make sure that she does before we kill her.
Now,
Certainly, and based on the town we're in, we would have to leave having slaughtered half the town were we to just start killing
Honestly.
anyone that follows the evil girl.
I don't care much for the morality of the situation.
Really?
I'm cool with just a reward. Yeah, what?
I
mean, yeah. Because, like, I'm kind of mysterious.
That's cool.
Cool. But, I mean, she did, like, Lilith did say, you know, Gordita? What's her name? Gordita?
Crunchy Gordita Supreme.
Garmina.
Gordita?
Senora Gorda.
Garmina is Farlane's mother. And she said that, and Lilith said that, you know, you follow your mother. So, Garlina.
Who's the foreign guy from Mortal Kombat? Goro.
Garlina. Garmina is bad. We know that. And evil and deserving of death, right?
I don't know if we know that, do we?
I think we do. So, moving on from that.
Let me reframe this. Just because we were welcomed into Dustforge by the West Coves does not inherently make the West Coves the good guys in this whole scenario.
But West is opposite of East.
But they're not worshippers of Drenton. Farlane is.
Alright, what is Gwen's input?
This is
Yeah.
all I'm saying is we should seek to have more answers and a better grasp on who is who stands where before we get to killing anyone.
Dude, it doesn't matter, bro.
It matters when you're back in your bed years from now pondering your crimes.
Don't you just want the cool stuff that we're gonna get?
I want to be able to sleep again, frankly. So, if we could just be a little more trepidatious.
Sure. Well, let's go confirm it.
If you don't think she's bad, then
I do.
we're bad.
Whoa!
And that can't be true.
We would never.
We are good.
Just because we woke up in these bodies as these characters doesn't mean that we are the good guys.
Right. Whoa. Wait, what?
What if we go scope her out before we make any kind of decision?
That would be my great preference. I think we should
Bet she'll kick a puppy while you're looking at her.
get a better understanding of what the people of Dustforge think of these families. And I would say that a good place to start would be the Emerald Hood. Speak with Jacques Scruggs. I am very interested in speaking with this individual because he forges the dust glass, the green stone-like material that is similar to my husk stones. I'm very interested in that. Also, could be good to get a perspective on these ruling families that is not a member of a ruling family.
Exactly. Neutral party.
Neutral party.
We need to be careful.
Right.
We can't just go asking around, like, is Farlane a bad person, like, to everybody, and then maybe she dies, you know? Because then they'd be suspicious. Because it has to be an accident.
Do we want to minimize suspicions by not traveling as one large pack that seems like a hired mercenary group?
No, that's really hard to do D&D wise, so...
Perhaps we find some narratively interesting way to split up and talk with
What
people
if
about
two
that.
of us who aren't here right now go to a tree?
Ah. Excellent. The three of us,
And Gwen...
the four of us, Perhaps we divide and conquer 2 and 2.
Not misery. Misery's not gonna be.
Perhaps,
2?
perhaps we go 2 and 2.
2 by 2, we're gonna flew the schmoo. Look more. Alright. I'll go with Tuli. Obviously.
Gwen and I will then perhaps scope out the Emerald Hood.
Although I do want to meet. This is Rachel. Or no, okay, totally. Although I do want to meet the magician. See if he has any interesting
Jacques?
spells.
Perhaps all 4 of us go to the Emerald Hood.
What if all 4 of us together went? What about that idea?
Interesting. Sounds
Okay.
like a place we've landed. I won't call it a plan.
Turn!
Do something.
Onward to the Emerald Hood.
Right.
And that's where we go.
Leaving the West Cove mansion and heading back towards a little bit of a kind of skilled, kind of guild-like region of the city that only Loraleth has seen so far, actually. So you all get some direction from some of the family servants from the mansion and get kind of direction to that point. As you are walking through, you can see some people who make simply like silk garments. You can hear blacksmithing happening with the beating of a mortar on a pestle. That was a joke. And you,
That would be the bowl on the stick.
well, as that picture is funny, and you look over towards the blacksmith, what you see is a massive 2-headed creature speaking to itself. That Loraleth has also seen before. Not seemingly too intelligent, but working in tandem with each other to then smite and work with this steel.
Judging him by his cover there.
Beating a stick with a bowl.
Good
Okay.
and some people kind of like pedaling and running into the streets trying to get some people to buy some of their like gemstones and necklaces and bracelets and things like that too. And you know and recognize that you are in kind of the salesman's corner of this place where people are trying to just kind of make their money and people can go to do some shopping in this district. Through that, you're able to recognize a couple doors down from the blacksmith and find this place called the Emerald Hood. And you haven't seen much dust glass out in public. It's been in homes, it's been in part of the torches that you've seen, but it's not just like something that decorates the town itself, except this building very much stands out with it. The windows of it are made from dust glass and they're pretty hard to see through. The sign that's there itself is just a hanging piece of dust glass that is a kind of a square shape, but it comes off into some really sharp corners and there's little jagged pieces around all of it. And then from within, it is glowing in a bright green coloration. And then it seems like as you're walking and looking at it, you can just hear in your mind, the Emerald Hood, as long as you're staring at the sign. And then even then, while you're looking at it, the words just kind of appear within it too. Obvious, easy to find as you were then walking through that part of town.
Does those words sound like a specific person's voice? Or
Yes.
like...
Yeah, you can hear a male's voice. It does sound kind of charismatic. It was saying the Emerald Hood. The Emerald Hood.
Is it not like
Something similar to it, yeah.
Interesting. Alright, I lead the pack of 4 into the Emerald Hood.
Great. The door swings open. You can hear a little bell. Ding, ding, ding. And from within, there's a large glass display case. Kind of what you would imagine in a bakery, but from within, there are small shards of dust glass kind of bundled together on this top rack of it. And underneath, there are some larger jagged ones and different types of like blades and armors and things like that. Behind the desk is a vacant space. You can see a chair set up there, but even more beyond it, there's a separate kind of workspace behind it. And there's 2 dark black curtains that are dropped down behind with just a thin gap in the middle, in the back there too. Through the gap to the right, you can see this like kind of pulsing of a green light from behind, and you can hear just kind of like some whistling to themselves in the back, the sounds of somebody working in the shop.
Hello?
Not loud enough. Oh, it's just kind of quietly said. The whistling continues. The sounds of work. You can hear little light sounds of chiseling.
Is there a bell?
We did just ring a bell coming in, but I guess it wasn't loud enough. Cool.
Did we
I
make
start
a
to walk
reservation?
towards that pulsing light, just kind of looking around, taking in the shop, seeing if there's anything that stands out of note apart from just random memorabilia.
Sure. What are you looking for? If there's anything specific.
I mean, what I have in my mind right now still is this past account that I read in the archives of Populous about like a dust glass armored person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like taking in like, do I see much like armor? Does it feel like souvenirs? Does this feel like an armory or just
Right.
like kind of like an antique store?
Yeah.
You know.
Got it. Go ahead and do an investigation check.
Alrighty, I will do it. That is a 12 plus. No,
Give the prophecy, guys.
I don't know if y'all are having this issue, but my D&D Beyond is not working. So I have to,
D&D Beyond. I'm not having that issue.
I have to keep loading the actual
I have a
website.
solution.
Is it because of the snow?
Norse Foundry dice.
Yeah, use a real die.
What? No, I rolled it. I just didn't know what to add to it.
Oh, that's right.
Just memorize your character.
I did use my North Foundry dice, and it gave me a beautiful, tasty 12.
Mm.
But now,
Which I
Thanks,
predicted.
Eric.
I'm there.
investigation.
Yes.
Great. 20.
Great.
Whoa!
So through the slit within the curtains off to the back, you can actually see a small box that also is made from glass at the top and the front. And so it is closed, and you can also see that it's magically sealed. And within it, you can see a long, jagged dagger made entirely out of dust glass back there. And then off to the side of it, you can see a stand with a full set of like a dust glass helmet, a dust glass like chest piece, and all that kind of straight off into the back end there. That some of the heavier, more hardy equipment is stored safely there. And then the stuff that's behind the glass right here up front are some things like more like darts and like more like throwing blades and smaller stuff. Some regular daggers, but you can see that there's one that seems particularly important, kind of stashed off into the back while you're surveying over everything that's in here.
Yeah, I'm going to keep walking until I see a person that seems like they know they're
This is separated now. The glass kind of counter where all that stuff is extends all the way across the room. You don't have to like
I can't
climb.
get to the... Okay,
No.
cool. I get to the... As far as... So I'm right to the glass.
Yeah.
Looking beyond. Just...
Oh yes. 1 moment. I'll be right there.
Thank you. Take your time.
The green glowing eventually like dims and stops, and then the curtain is drawn back, and you're looking at like a normal height level, and you have to drop down a bit because this kind of darker skinned dwarven type Duragar person is kind of leaning up. I'm so sorry. No, wait. This person's Elvish. What am I doing?
Whoa!
I got a little mixed up
Way
there.
off.
Are they a Durgar?
No, they're an elf.
Drow?
Nope, they are a straight up surface elf.
Must be a South Pole elf.
Completely forgot about that. Sorry. So, blonde hair, just straight down, not tied up, not braided or anything. Just kind of
Cute.
drops down to his shoulders. He is wearing a dark brown cloak with the hood down, and he also has these like large goggles affixed to his face that he kind of lifts up, and the band around them helps kind of keep his hair off to the back of his head. He has a very pointed down nose and a chin that comes off to a point as well, and completely like clean shaven as elves tend to. Well, not even shaven, just clean faced as elves tend to be. And he pokes his head through. Oh, hello and welcome. Welcome to that Emerald Head. Travelers, I'm sure, wanting to stop by and see what Dust Glass is all about.
Does his voice sound like the charismatic voice from outside?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
Dust my glass, baby.
Well,
Mm,
Go ahead.
we didn't have to linger on that moment, but I'm glad we did.
That was not in game.
Oh no.
because this is your latest episode. Joey said dust my glass, and then it was dead silent for 20 minutes. Was that an error? No, it wasn't. Great. So I say, Thank you for welcoming us too. And then I mind link with him and say, the Emerald Hood, in the same, like, charismatic voice, and just kind of smile. And then I say, are you Jacques?
I am Jacques, yes. And you are?
I am Pilgrim, and I give a deep bow, and then I say, these are my traveling companions, Tuli and Misery.
And Gwen!
What the heck is wrong with you?
I've been gone a lot.
You never say anything.
Gwen, talk,
Wendy had
participate.
to pee. She had to go outside for 15 minutes
53
and
episodes.
stand in the rain and then pee.
The role
I'm back
in
now.
my brain that Gwen is in this campaign is Anne in Arrested Development.
Yeah, plants?
Or like Buster, like the creaking floorboard. You like see him like around the
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
So there's a creak. Gwen steps around and Gwen.
Wonderful. It's odd and exciting to see people who are not from Dustforge to come in. What brings you to Dustforge?
Well, we originally came as a envoy from Populous. Are you familiar with this?
Populous.
Oh gosh. Yes. Yes, I've heard of Populous. I've never been. That's where you all are from?
Yes. Have you heard of Ferragran, perhaps? He's a magical being that I imagine fills many of the same roles that you do here at Dustforge.
He works at the Bronze Star.
No, I've never been to Populous, but I have heard of it. And honestly, I've kind of just been deep in work here at Dustforge for so long. Man. It's wild.
Are you okay?
One, Dan's eyes itch like crazy.
Oh no! Don't interrupt him.
You seem
No,
like
it's
your
Um,
mind is gone.
in reality, or no, in fantasy,
In fantasy.
as you are, your ear's wet.
Her whole body's wet.
Infantilizing.
She was in the rain for
Oh,
15
okay.
minutes.
As you were talking with Jacques, and he's just like thinking of the outside world, that you can see that it's just been a really long time since he's really thought about or met anyone who's not from Dustforge, and he's been really like kind of sucked into everything he's been doing here. And so you're talking about Fairground, you're talking about this other city, this other magician, all of this, and he's just like, oh yeah, this is like fascinating and wild. So then he's just like, oh, no, I haven't met him or heard of his work or anything. What is he work in? What is his trade, his craft?
He sells many items, both magical and not. He's a magician of sorts. He is the sort of one-stop shop for information, as well as tools and insights and all things, the beating heart of politics.
Oh,
I spent many an hour in his shop learning particularly magical stones and minerals. And then I mage hand without like pulling it out with my hands, the little husk stone necklace, kind of like have it float in front. We were studying in depth the husk stones, which I grew up mining and imbuing with magical abilities where I come from. I come before you now, fascinated by dust glass and the properties that I have seen it hold so far. And I am very interested. My eyes kind of drift over to the knife and then kind of back to him. In what you are able to do with this material and what your experience is with this fascinating mineral.
He's just looking you over. His mouth just kind of slowly drops at one point while you're explaining your context with it and everything. And he's looking over. Y'all can see his eyes just kind of flash around. He looks at your ring for a minute, and if you're still wearing the necklace too for breathing underwater.
Always
No, I gave that to Loraleth.
Loraleth.
I do have my grill.
But he seems like very quickly able to notice like which items that you all have that are magical. And as you're talking to and asking your questions or expressing your interest in the dust glass and all that too. Forgive me, are you Kalishtar?
I am indeed.
No.
Tuli is not. And Gwyn is.
Man,
She's
I did.
Nothing.
I'm a tiefling.
Who are you?
Me.
Didn't see you come in there.
Her.
Why? Because I'm short? That shows, man.
Because she's so obviously here.
I'm horny.
Right.
Wait,
Gwyn's tagline. She's obviously here.
she's so here. She made a creaking noise.
So weird.
She's so
She's
weird.
the biggest one.
Sorry, it just seems odd. I'd seen some Kalishtar that. Man, gosh, it has been such a long time. It's wild. They just looked a little bit different than you, but I noticed some of the similarities. So you're not from around here, obviously. Where's your Kalishtar from?
This is more to prep you, Dan, the D, than anything. I'm going to try to name drop Guiding Light in my response, just to see if there's any response there.
Yeah.
I hail originally from the Carissa clan, a far distance from here, but I, like any Kalishtar, pursue the guiding light of craftsmanship. And I just am kind of like eyeing him a little intently to see if that light has any reaction from that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a spark of interest in it. But before he seems to bite that bait, he says, so then you're interested in Dustglass here. You were in the presence of the expert of Dustforge in a Dustglass. How much do you know about these stones? And actually, do you mind if I see that on your necklace as well? Just for a moment.
Certainly. And I then pull it off and hand it to him.
Do you know, and his eyes just flash for a moment, do you know where stones like this and these originate? Do you know how they got here?
My awareness of their origin is simply from the depths of the caves that I grew up in. Beyond that.
And brace yourself for this, I see you quite literal there. All four of you.
We're a little bunch.
There's only three of us.
All 3, 4.
Oh, I didn't react.
I didn't mean for this to come on.
This is completely falling apart. They develop from the fusion of the remains of dragons and the natural formations of stone in the depths of caves. And when the raw and natural powers of these majestic creatures are becoming one with the earth around them, they completely change the landscape from which stones like this can form and create the veins at which this whole city works around and mines. And it's just fascinating. And I was just wondering, with your experience as a Kalishtar, what have you been able to do with Huskstone? What does this one do? They have such amazing powers.
My people truly believed in the power of legacy and lasting wisdom and knowledge, and we used these husk stones to preserve and carry on the consciousness of our elders. We would select a special few among us to transfer their consciousness into these husk stones, and then ultimately there were other special chosen few among us that the consciousness would then be transferred from stones to the new bodies, so as to preserve a person and their knowledge and their experience for uncountable years. And my people had very much a more psychically focused supernatural connection with these stones, but in my limited time in Dustforge and around Dustglass, it seems as if the supernatural properties connected to this material is quite different than that of my Huskstone.
Oh, it very much is. That's fascinating, and truly, like, the potential of stones created in this way on canvas is mesmerizing. Here in Dust Forge with this particular stone. This stone seems to be very vacant for magic in the way that your stone was very vacant for the mind, it seems. And so, honestly, on its own, without any form of enchantment or work, this, well, let me show you. And he goes off to the back real quick, and then he comes back, and you can see this handful of like one baseball-sized cluster of dust glass. But it doesn't have that like glow to it as all the other kinds that you have seen so far. It's just very dim. He's holding this hand in its natural form, and he just and it like crushes to a powder and just like runs down his hand. Is extremely fragile in its mundane and natural state. And then he kind of gestures towards the glass that has all of the different workings of it in front of him. As soon as you imbue it with any form of magic or power, which is very, very easy to do with this stone. It takes it so potently and powerfully, it becomes indestructible. And takes on whatever powers you're trying to imbue into it as well. This is dust glass.
Indestructible. It sounds like this would make quite a formidable suit of armor.
And it has for many people.
Many.
Yeah, there are plenty that I have made here for those that would and have and been in the dangers of the caves and have suited up for many things. I've been petitioned by some of the families here to make them for their own protection, and it's very, very lengthy and expensive process, but it's wonderful, wonderful material for that work.
It seems like something that Gwyn...
Well,
It's good.
Tuli's,
It's very good.
Tuli's gonna lean on the case and say, so which dragon's bones are these?
What? Dragon's bones weigh a lot more than dragon scales. That's all I know.
Oh, I have not really paid much attention to any of the history in it at that point. That's for other people with more time on their hands to really read
So, like,
into.
I got time on my
Or
hands.
like Cynics or probably
Cynic sounds greenish.
yeah.
Yeah. Lunago feels blue. To me.
Yeah, Cynics was actually black, but I mean,
And maybe
that's
not
fine.
that one.
Mm.
Yeah, Lunago was the blue one.
I was right.
No.
Well,
There wasn't a green
Pokemon?
one though.
Oh, well, I would guess this one was green.
This has been helpful.
Are there any red
You
dragons?
say
Gwen!
Gwyn is here. Gwyn is here. Gwyn is here. Gwyn.
Did someone say husk now?
Husky stone.
What is the significance of this dagger here?
You just are the one into the back, way back. Oh, this one here.
That one
Over there.
that you put out.
That one inspired my work. It was provided for me as a template, and I will actually say too carries a bit of fear from a lot of those who live here. Why do you ask?
I am fascinated by the craftsmanship, and I am deeply moved by the beauty and the versatility of this material. I wonder, and I unsheath the dagger that I have, and I don't think we've ever really talked about this, but I always kind of like, not that it's made from husk stone, but it's like made from like the stone of my cave. Like it's like a black, like almost like obsidian kind of dagger color. Onyx. The final or the middle evolutionary form of Geodude. Made for
No.
stone.
Graveler?
No. Yeah, that's Graveler.
Wait,
Yeah, Onyx is not. Oh, Steelix. You've also
you're right.
Steelix.
Onyx is nothing. I'm
Onyx
sorry.
is the
No,
first
let's
one.
really hash this out.
Pokemon fans are furious at me right now because I just made
Pokemon.
smoke out my
Specifically,
ass.
Australian fans of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Gwen has
Arnar!
Gwen has a great uncle named Onyx. Just saying.
that's a cool name.
Wait, this is a cat.
I'm
This
so
isn't a
sorry
dog.
you're so unhinged and so offensive today.
Yeah.
It's Thursday.
It's
It's
Monday.
always Thursday.
It's always Monday.
Wait.
I am curious what your process is here, but I would be deeply honored if this could be repurposed into something more like that.
I would not be able to turn yours into that. However, I do sell and create dust glass daggers if you're interested in one. And I'm sorry, but if I gave you my whole process and system of how I make this work well, I don't think I would be the sole provider of dust glass here, and I would not be willing to let that slip out.
Oh, certainly. I would not ask that of you.
Let me tell you the story of the dagger back that you were just doing towards, and he walks back and brings it up towards the front of the counter. Gwen, if you would, could you shut that door and... No.
Yeah, I thought it.
Fantasy Gwen, can you shut the fantasy door in this fantasy shop that we are all in right now?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. This particular blade, I'm surprised that you noticed it. Most don't when they come through. Maybe I should put it somewhere better than where it was. So thank you for that.
Seems like your fault.
Sounds like that's fine.
Yeah.
Is, to my understanding, and what I was told when I became the possessor of it, belonged to the name you not so subtly dropped earlier, that this is rumored, to me at least, and I believe it to be true, the blade used by the Guiding Light. And when this was unearthed from the cave systems, that name and his work is generally avoided and unliked in most parts here, because this blade has a couple of different enchantments to it. One is particularly powerful against vampires, but no limits there. It is also particularly strong against Drow and Duergar, and so with that, cuts quite easily through any and all of those and hurts them quite powerfully and potently. So it has quite a long list of bodies in its wake.
Remarkable. It is a beautiful thing.
So, I tell you this because I can tell you are not from here, and I also can pretty easily tell that you're new and you are working your way through figuring out exactly what your role is here today.
Indeed.
How do you receive this information?
It is fascinating. I must say, while we came as an envoy originally, our main goal was to open up a potential trading relationship with Dustforge. But I must confess, I come not only as a part of this envoy, but I come with the full awareness that one of my own, a Kalishtar female, is being held captive in this very city. And
I'm sorry to inform you that all Kalishtar from this region have died.
Oh God.
I am unwilling to accept that until I have exhausted my search. But I understand that her captors would want that to be believed by all.
So you know of the Kalishtar of this region?
Does the name Remy mean anything to you?
No, but how is she from here?
I do not believe so, but the Ferrigrand that I spoke of earlier from Populous.
You know she's from your clan, which would not be from
The
here.
Creaser?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No.
Okay. Stephen and Pilgrim should
You're
have known
stupid
that.
and you should have known
In the
that.
sense that,
Okay.
because
Wait, you knew it.
this was like backstory stuff from way back when we first formed stuff that like you knew 10 to 20 years before you escaped that somebody had escaped your clan. That it was her. Sorry. So I didn't want that. I didn't want this to be as like cryptic and weird to that end. It's like he's trying to say that all of the Kalashtar from these particular caves are known to be dead.
I see. Great.
And so when he says that, you would know like
Cool.
Sorry.
No. This Rini, she was originally a member of my own clan, the Carissa clan. She left our clan long before I did. And her whereabouts were unknown until I found mention of her in the Populous archives. And Theragrand, of whom I spoke, were able to use huskstone shards to create a device, communication device. And using that device, we made contact with Rini beneath.
from Populous.
From Populous, we were able to connect with Rini somewhere beneath Dustforge.
I see.
And so, wherever she is in danger, and I hope to find her. And it is interesting that I appreciate you connecting with the illusion that I made, because guiding light also came up in these archives. The writer of these archives spoke of making contact with this guiding light and fighting vampires alongside this warrior in Duskgrass.
I see. Well then, you were here to arm up before seeking after this Remy in the caves underneath Dustforge? Is that why you were here?
Well, not immediately so, although I am certainly realizing since our conversation began that would aid us quite well in our eventual journey. Our immediate purpose here was simply a game of houses of sorts.
In pursuit of Remy.
In pursuit of Remy. What do you know of Garmini and the Southcoves?
It's Gormina. It's
It
Gorlina.
will never be said correctly.
It's Gardina. Garmina.
What do you know of Olive Garden?
Garnier.
Well, when you are here,
Garnier for two.
when you are here, you are family. And
Garmin? The GPS?
Garmina.
she sits on the extent with myself. I am one of the leaders of this surface city, and we work together for the collaborative peace of all families and allegiances to gods and trade here. We work to that end together.
We're here on behalf of Populous, and our boss, I mean, you know how it is. She has a connection with the Southcoves, and so that's who we're kind of, bunking with for now. But like you said, we're new in town.
West Coast.
West Coast, that's what I meant.
Southcoves are, yeah.
The West Coast.
Those are bad.
But like you said, see, I don't even know their names. But like you said, we're new in town, and we are really worried about kind of putting our foot in it, so to speak, in terms of this big house conflict. And so I wonder if you could just, we're here looking for Remy in addition to our contract.
And when you're here, you're family.
Right.
Hey.
We're looking for our family.
Yeah.
So we're wondering, we've, heard from Lilith has nothing but good things to say about you, Mrs. Westcove. And so she she said that you were an insightful and neutral party. We were just wondering if you could give us any kind of objective insight into, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. I know that's an oversimplification.
She wasn't the neutral. No, that was Sam.
Was it?
That was
Yeah.
Jacques.
I thought they both were.
That's for y'all's interpretation. Memory.
Specifically,
No, Zangan is not neutral. He's...
If you're a West Cove, then you ain't
Zangan's
neutral.
an East Cove.
Yeah, he's an
not.
East
He's not a
Cover.
neutral part.
Jacques
He's got
is
skin in the game.
But
neutral.
he was not selfish and didn't desire to fight for power.
the people who are
I might be
the,
wrong.
of the
Jacques-
Hand.
He's the hand, which is
Yeah,
a neutral party.
neutral.
They're free agents, and they don't.
He's the
run.
fantasy Sweden.
Any one of them could be Tim's dad.
Yeah,
That's true.
here's what we know.
That is true.
Any one of them could be Remy with a mask.
Germany is Tim's.
Takes notes.
Whatever. It's whatever.
I would have gotten
it
away
is.
with it if it wasn't being a crazy kid.
Interesting. So it's not merely your own pass through and head off to the caves for your own search, but you are kind of mixed into some of the politics of the area already. How long have you been in town?
Yes, well, to give you a quick crash course on us, we are the half dozen. Two of us are hugging trees outside. We are a traveling band of, I suppose, for some reason.
Sorry.
I don't know what you would call us, frankly. We excel at beginning one task and then half finishing that task while opening many other tasks. And as you can see,
And I guess we're a band now, which is kind of sick.
yes, that's still misery. Gwen's here as well. We
Gwen starts pulling out her misery prints of like
yes,
Yes.
we are known both for eventually succeeding in quests while forgetting others.
But either
Here we
way,
are before you now.
there's
And as you
three
can
of us
see,
here.
We have
And
several
Gwen.
unspooling plot lines
We
that
take
bring before you today. Do any of them interest you?
We need all the help we can get.
we talk to all the people, get all the quests.
And then finish one.
And then which one is closest, I guess?
One, and we do that.
The one we remember.
We are looking, well, two of us are looking at a tree. We are pondering if we should kill someone's daughter. We are searching, or not. I said someone.
I thought we
I
decided
said
to kill her.
someone.
oh my goodness.
We are learning about the houses for good reasons. And we are also looking.
At Dust.
I personally have dragged them into the shop so that I can learn about Dust Glass, which I am frankly in. And yes, I'm also looking for my captive counterstar friend who might be dying beneath Dust.
It's like a little bit Tuli, probably from the amount of time they've spent together. And Tuli's sitting in a room, and Gwen's like, "Have you heard of an Abeloth?"
Hey!
Yes, I've heard of these.
Oh yeah, we defeated one, so we did that 100%.
We are competent
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
Half
very-
of the time.
I
But
see.
practically
That
no
was
one died.
100%, so that raised our average.
Yes, the shards are coming together. I can see clearly now.
The rain is gone.
We live in a cave. What is rain?
Rain. Okay, Mr. Surface Elf.
I see. My advice, is that what you're asking for in the mix of all of that?
We have very quickly gotten ourselves in the middle of a sort of inter-house spat. And so
And so you ask me about my most powerful drow-killing weapon that I have here.
ooh, that has nothing to do with the houses. That has everything to do with,
Being cool.
let's be clear. I had no intentions of taking this dagger. I think it's cool and I wanted them to know about it. Stop saying take
I
it.
mind link with him.
Yeah. No.
Whenever I want.
My desire in coming to you today was twofold. One, to learn about Duskglass, and two, to get your honest perception on the leaders of the houses that run Duskforge.
I see.
That is that.
Before I bias you with my own, I would love to know your first impressions of what you have learned and what you have heard, because I think that would be very telling of how our allegiances and peace are going up here. So, as newcomers to the city, what have you heard and what do you believe is coming together here?
Well, I will say my piece and then I will pass it off to my three compatriots. But We were welcomed initially as a part of our trade agreement into the home over Lilith West Cove. We stayed with the West Coves and were, from our limited time there, they have been hospitable.
This is just laying in the hallway looking at
The
Tuli,
West.
you look behind you, and Bavrock has just followed you out here.
Oh.
It follows.
The West Coves are hospitable, but there is a clear sense of deep animosity between them and the South Coves.
Of course.
Beyond that, we have not had any opportunity to have face-to-face time with East Coves, South Coves, and as I understand it, the North Coves are no more. So,
And no skin-to-skin time.
frankly, we only know a limited amount from the West Coves. Your thoughts, companions?
I hate Treya.
Here's what we know.
So there's this woman named Treya. She's bad at fighting and we hate her.
Lilith is a vampire. And everyone's name is just north, south, east, or west, so
I think you covered it.
I think I got it.
That's the bold.
South is bad because it's down.
Oh my gosh,
I
have we not
remember
had a Kanye character yet?
Oh, that would be fun. Tuli says that
Gotcha.
the West Coasts have been great, but obviously they're inherently, have their own perception of the conflict, and we wouldn't feel right about, even bunking with them really without getting kind of an objective perspective.
Sure,
And
yeah.
we trust you to do that.
I see.
Probably.
Yeah.
Jacques, do you think in a more neutral position?
So neutral.
Wait, has he said that? No, he said that. Jacques, do you think that this community could ever truly be at peace?
Thank you, Joey. I do, and I hope for that day. It is what I have my eyes set on every time the Hexton gets together, and the proceedings and what happens afterwards, based on agreements and actual actions afterwards, is all heavily measured and watched by me. The animosity that you have picked up on does come with a history. The Southcoves family, pre-peacetime, was the dominant family within the caves and still maintain much of their power here, sheerly from the fact that they have the most living loyal family members, the most resources. I'm sure I picked up from you all, have learned this. They were the ones that eliminated the North Cove family and did in the past take out the matriarchs of the East Coast family, and have, I'm sure, had some hand in the losses of the West Cove family before the peace as well. In fact, the dwindling numbers of all of the families was what pushed the West Cove family to propose a move and a peace, so that they were hoping to avoid the inevitable South Cove takeover of all of the caverns. That was agreed upon through many, many painstaking hours of meetings and truce and working this through. How the Hextant then developed out of that as a way to balance things out, and also to separate Drenton and Anivia from this mix as well, that we would see the preservation of the three remaining families as well as an elevation of those who are not part of the family but still wanted their own forms of power and place within the seat, and also those who are separate from the gods and the families, which is where I lead and I try to represent. it makes much sense to me that people who have been here for about a day would sense the hostility between the Westco family.
Do you think it's like possible for there to be peace as long as the Southcove family is the most powerful? It just sounds like the way you're painting it that they are kind of like set in their aggressive ways. Do you think that there's any hope of them, standing down?
Carmina has set that down in the move to the surface, and she has been working very adamantly with us through the Hextons to see this city work out, and to see as the Hexton exists, to preserve all other remaining families too.
Interesting.
Do you believe she means well?
I have seen nothing from her within the meetings that have led me to believe otherwise. You seem quick to not believe that.
I look over at
Well, we, in our very limited time in the city of Dustforge, we have been staying with people that perhaps hate the Southcoves most, so we have had a rather biased telling of history and the power dynamics. So I simply wish to see if others feel the way our hosts do, or if, as I suspected, there's much more to the story. It sounds like there is.
More than to Dan here, more than what I've already said.
Yeah, like it. I mean, it's sounding like Jacques does not have the view of the Southcoves that Lilith did, which is what Steven suspected.
Sure.
And Pilgrim is trying to suss out by talking.
Yeah.
And like more than what Lilith let on, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So our host has no love for the Southcoves, but you would say that there's a general balance of favorability among the houses. You would not say there's a standout troublemaker or source of chaos and disruption among the families.
I have not heard of any incidents, and the consistent issue that has come up, especially outside of the meetings, that bled its way in and has really derailed many, is the constant pinpoint on the fact, and I agree with it, that the Southcove family does have more power within our surface piece right now, simply because their family is the most intact. But I hope to see a vision where the Westco family can redevelop and come back to meet at that power, and the East Cove as well. And with a hope in that, I do not see tearing apart what we have now to reduce power as the solution. I would simply say give it some time to rebuild so that we would have the space to be whatever the future of Dustforge would look like.
If you, I'm going to level with you. The West Coves probably doesn't surprise you. They are always on guard for some kind of attack or something.
Okay.
I'm sure every family on some level is prepared for some kind of violence.
Must be, yes.
Right. So, hypothetically, if one of the families were to attack another family, and just as we're partnering with the West Coast, I feel like this would be helpful information. If another family was to attack another family and there was proof of that, how would that be handled? Like proof of, say, violating the treaty, for example, just hypothetically.
Sure. In my role as being over the hand, which has been agreed upon by the rest of the Hextons to be the most separate from the family motivations, I would lead with some help from the arbiters here of the city, do an investigation, and if that were to be proved to be true, that family would be deconstructed, decommissioned from power within the surface piece, and brought to a justice that would punish that family and remove them from their place within our society.
You say the family system, so you think they'd have their own way of handling it if they found out about it? You said you're removed from it. I say this because I'm from Lepori, and she does the little thing.
No reaction. I love the Texas long words.
No, not at all.
And we have a very set honor system and family system there. So I don't think they would let a neutral party handle. They're very blood for blood, so to speak.
And that is the old way. But in the new order that we have established here, where all parts would be equal, it matters not if this violence were from family to family or from, I'm blanking on the word right now. Oh my gosh, creed, or creed to family, whatever that may be. Yeah. Devotion to a particular god. If somebody was affiliated with, like, Drunton or Anivia and that faction had attacked a family, like all of that, even though there's more history and blood to the family-to-family tensions, that has no sway or meaning in the way that we are governed now.
You've been very helpful.
That was so sarcastic.
Thank you.
You've been
Roll the charisma check. No, I'm kidding.
We already know it's bad.
Thank you.
And I mean that sincerely.
I aim to be, and I mean this conversation has been very helpful as well, as a bit of an evaluation as to how we are doing what we are doing. If you were to remember some quests and forget others, I would say remember the ones that matter to you and forget the ones that you've stumbled.
Well,
Jacques, I thank you for your time. We must continue our, what seems like our main quest. But as I very much desire to have continued talks with you about the nature of dust glass and working with these precious stones. As a sign of goodwill, I would love for you to keep this husk stone for now until I return and study it to your heart's content.
I very will, yes. Thanks.
yeah, that's a sentence.
You shocked him.
I very will.
And I bow again, and then I head out of the shop.
What are our main quests, like seeking cake?
I don't know. I don't know if it's killing the kid or if it's.
I think the main quest.
we
was,
were looking
like,
for
finding
cake. We're looking for cake
Oh, yeah.
near the ocean.
It's
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I only have
Yeah.
cake here.
I keep on hoping, but
Yeah.
Where,
Are we outside?
I am, at least. I don't know about the three of you, but
there are a total of 4 of us.
it's so freaking true, dude.
I'll definitely leave. I wasn't interested in that. at
Gwen
all.
died 18 episodes ago.
Because I got tangled into a barbed wire on the way.
where to next?
When we're outside, Tuli's gonna say, so that's another option to killing her. If we can find proof that the bots were working with the Southcoves, their family's done. I think,
done.
Yeah, like super done.
Like
Like
politics.
more permanently than like the honor killing. Like, you know? I don't know if Lilith would go for that, but
What's worse than being murdered? Being embarrassed.
Being cancelled.
But then it's the whole family.
and like that is really shameful and they're all about honor. And they would lose their power.
They may sweat blood from the stress of it. And then that's blood for blood.
Yes.
Mm.
And they forgot about Dre.
I think we should look into that. I think we should try and tie the bots and the assassins to the Southcoves and find proof.
I believe our next contact to talk to was Zhang.
Zangief.
Ziggy.
And then maybe we can check up on Farlane and just kind of like spy on her. I don't know.
We'll see if she's dead. Exactly.
Oh, you actually meant that.
Yeah, we're gonna go find out if she's dead by
I thought you
accident.
were being coy.
You know what I meant.
Next stop, Zangan.
Zangan.
And does anyone know why that stopped?
I think she told us. Lilith told us.
You would have to be able
Baltimore?
to get into the East Coves, like, quarters, like their house.
Oh.
But we said
Shoot.
or that's what I meant when I said like we asked Lilith how to meet him and like how to get.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
okay.
it's like an East Coast
because-
house, we just knock on the door.
She suggested we go, so
Yeah.
I feel like
Right,
she
right.
would have given us.
Sure.
I mean, we can
Tell
go
us the
back.
house.
If
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, like, yeah, to kind of retcon and cover what that would be, like, she'll send word over, and if he has the space and capacity to meet with you, then we'll see how he responds.
We come 3 days later than usual because of the 18 extra quests we picked up on the way.
there was a parade. I'm so sorry.
We were so scared of the parade.
Great. So Cassandra has no idea what to say. Wait, on your way to Zangan.
Oh, you guys did laugh a lot last time I took her out.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a parade. Sorry.
Cool. On your way to Zangan, on your way to the East Coast. And yeah, that's where we'll pick up for next episode.
To Zangan!
Nice.